Oh my God, I'm gonna wreck. 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 I didn't wreck. I didn't wreck. Oh no, here comes another one. I'm gonna wreck. 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 Why? Why is this straightaway a corner? Hey everybody, John here from Richmond International Raceway, where I'm going to be rolling off in 6th position for the Class B Fixed Series race here. Not my best track, turns out. This track's really tough. And it's different because normally this track is run at night, and I'm not sure if the setups here were done with a night race in mind, a cooler track in mind. But these cars are, more than any other track I've been to, these cars are extremely, extremely hard to control. And if you click it over on your test sessions, if I clicked over to the night race, and I had to just to make sure I hadn't completely forgotten how to drive. I'm not making any claims to be the world's best driver, but when I went back to the night race, or the night settings for practice, it was much more stable. So I don't know if it's just the fixed setup is intended for nighttime or what the deal is, but either way we're going to try to make the most of it. And strategy for this race, I'm getting the feeling based on what I saw in the practice, in the open practice before the race here, where you have all these kind of cars in with you. I saw a lot of them wrecking, so I think if we can not wreck, I think we can have a pretty decent finish. I'm not really sure what to expect. There's a lot of fast cars starting behind us, but let's see how we do. This 17 in front of me was blinking the whole race, which makes it really hard to drive around.
Green.
So not a horrible restart, not a great restart, kind of mediocre. Better than usual. I'll say better than usual is the grade I'll give myself.
Stay high. There's the car on the low
when you
side.
get caught on the outside
All
lane
clear.
here, you're just kind of stuck in the Class B. I know in the Cup race today you saw him going all over the track. In fact, a lot of times the higher line was faster, but that was not the case in the Xfinity race yesterday, and it's not the case here in Class B. The fast line is on the bottom of the racetrack. You want to get down there and not get stuck up on the high side. A trip around this racetrack, which we'll start here after we get through turns 3 and 4. I'll try to identify some of the trouble areas, which is pretty much the whole track. But a trip around the track, you're going to tiptoe it up out of the turn 4 here, cross the start-finish line, and you've got to be fairly hard into the brakes, and you want to drop it right down to the bottom of the yellow line here. And I had to get a low exit. If I exited up high, it was pretty much a guaranteed thing that I was going to spin. Right here where the safer barrier starts, I'd be back on the brakes, back down into 3 through 4. And then you had to be real careful coming across these seams in the track. They were very, very slippery, so it was really easy to lose the car almost all the way down the front straightaway. The trouble points for this track are pretty much, like I said, pretty much everywhere. You can get into trouble entering, like you just saw me going into turn 1, get really loose on the brakes. You can get into trouble off. You're pretty much loose the whole way around. You can spin it right there by the start-finish line. In practice this week, I wrecked around the entire racetrack, so there's no really one particular area that's worse than the rest. The one safe place is right here on the backstretch because it's the only place you're not turning the wheel. See here, we've settled into our rhythm, and I can see a lot of blinking going on up there, which it just makes it really not fun to race around. The problem is you don't know where they're going to come back to. You don't know where they really are. And that was kind of an issue during this race a couple of times, to where you see that guy just shot up into the fence there, where I would have made a move, but not there, but at certain points. And I just couldn't because you didn't know where the dude was. You also see here the 16 behind me is getting a little aggressive. He put it down to the apron through 3 and 4 last lap. The apron is not the fast line around this racetrack, believe it or not. And there he goes. He loses it in the mirror. That's going to be our first caution of the race.
Line up single file. Pit road is closed. It's the 15 car.
So thus far, we're a few laps in, and we weren't the one that caused the caution, so that's a good thing. Right here, I'm not sure whether or not I want to take tires or not. I mean, we're just a very few laps in, but the tire fall off here is so bad that you can lose, like, you're losing almost a second by the time you get about 10 laps on the tires. So I decided to do what the leaders do. Everybody looks like they're going to come in, so I'm going to come in too and get some tires and gas. Gas is important too. Rumor has it makes the car go. And this is the tricky part. First time down pit road, I qualified kind of mid-pack, I guess, and so I'm really having a hard time finding where my pit stall is. I finally see it there. Going to come in, and my invisible pit crew is going to get to work and magically put 4 tires on my car, which is really nice of them. They obviously tightened all 5 lug nuts with a stop in the 13-second mark, so we're going to have a talk about that.
Line up single
Let's see what happened. 16 coming off a 2. Just gets away from him. Everybody here does a really good job getting around, and nobody plows into him. So he's pretty fortunate. That could have ended his day had it gone the way I've seen a lot of other iRacing wrecks go.
Get ready.
This time we get to restart on the inside, which is much better, much more better. It's the preferred line.
All right, man.
You can see we did lose some spots in the pits. Try and get it right up on the back bumper, this number 12.
Green flag.
And that was not a bad restart. I'm actually pretty pleased with myself. I'm probably still going to manage to mess this up somehow, but I'm happy that I'm actually showing some amount of improvement on the restarts. The other thing, this 15 up here, I was watching him, and there's another car running around here with Pennsylvania on his back bumper. I was watching them in practice, and the 2 of them were having a terrible time keeping it on the track. They would go 5-6 laps and just crash. So I'm a little hesitant to
outside.
I want to get away from them, basically. I don't want to get caught up when they are the ones spinning. You see there, crossing those little seams in the track, you can get really, really loose. And I was really, right now I'm waiting for them to wreck. It looked like they were going to go 3 wide into the corner into turn 1. That ain't going to work.
Stay low.
Number 7 here, I don't know what he wants me to do. I can't drive through the 12. I'm not going to push him 3 wide. He's going to get real aggressive with me, and there they go. Remember what I said? How I didn't want to get caught up in their mess?
Caution is out.
Yeah.
Line up single file. Pit road is closed. Past the car. It's the
so that was a pretty tight squeeze through there. I wondered if that wasn't going to happen with the 15 because in practice he had a really hard time not spinning out after just a couple of laps. So there he spun out. He took the 12 with him, and we gained 2 spots. And again, it wasn't us that brought out the caution. So we're going to come back in and take some more tires, and my invisible pit crew is going to go right back to work magically working on my car. Doesn't need to be repaired. I haven't hit anything yet, which is amazing. But you're going to see here, not everybody's going to come and take tires. And in retrospect, I should have taken the track position. I saw these guys staying out. I should have stayed out with them. I think I could have put me in 5th, which would have been a great place to restart. But, oh well. I kind of erred on the side of I'd rather have a stable vehicle longer. In case we did ever manage to get a long green flag run, I wanted to have some decent tires in the car for it. So we'll see how that pays off. And you can see that the 15 is just mangled. He ended up rolling down the front straightaway, which doesn't do good things to your car. Well, let's see what happened there. We kind of already saw what happened there. 15 overdrives the exit of the corner, which is pretty easy to do, and just gets clobbered by the 8. Bounces down the front straightaway. The 8 hit him so hard he turned his car into a magical creature where it just started disappearing. Harry Potter style. This is from my bumper cam. You have to be real careful up high on this track coming out of the corners. Like I said, if you overdrive those corners, on other tracks it'll punish you by making you let off kind of so you don't hit the wall because you'll push. Here, the car will just go around if you get too aggressive on exit. So,
all right, man.
Easy thing to do.
Cars in.
So I find myself here behind the number 9 Racers for Christ car. Not a super great restart, but we'll live with it. And I am faster than the 9, and I'm pretty sure I should be able to get a run off him in the corner. I could have
got one outside.
Could have gone for it there, but that really was a dive bomb. A dive bomb is when you start, or you duck underneath the car in front of you after they start their turn into the corner. And I don't want to be that guy, but here I've got the run on him, and he just pulls out and throws the block. So what would Jesus do? Jesus would throw a block. And then I, of course, get clobbered for the second time by this dude. And this guy behind me is the Pennsylvania guy that I was talking about, who was just a wreck waiting to happen. So I'm going to let him go. He wants to go up there and get super aggressive. He can. But you saw there that what the 9's doing, he's kind of overdriving the corner and having to push up through the middle of it, kind of like how I just overdrove that corner. I'm going to lose the spot here to the number 2 car.
Still there, hold your line.
So going backwards here at Richmond.
Clear low, clear low.
Able to get the car down finally. And I'm having a hard time getting into 1 and 2 for about the first half of this race because my visual cue for my brake point was the caution light that you see mounted on the fence coming into turn 1. Really, really easy to see that in practice and qualifying and all that when there's no crowd in the stands. There's no color back there. Once that crowd is rendered, though, it made it really tough for me to see. Yikes.
Go low, go low.
Made it tough for me to see where my brake point was, and there goes the 18.
Pit road is closed.
So that's 3 pretty much right in front of us. We haven't been involved in any of them. So thus far, even though the on-track stuff is kind of a struggle right now because I'm really having a hard time getting into 1, which kind of screws up half of the track for me, I still haven't been involved in any of those wrecks. So that's a good thing. And here again, I really should have stayed out. I just came in. We ran, what, 5 laps on these tires. But, oh well, live and learn. This is my first race at Richmond, so I really wasn't sure what to expect with what people were going to do pit strategy-wise. And I really think, in retrospect, track position was pretty important because it still was tricky to pass here. It was difficult. Basically, the guy had to give you the position, or you had to get a pretty good run on him out of the corner to pass. Other guys would dive bomb, which I just don't like to do that. I could have done it to the 9 there. I don't like it when people do it to me, so I try not to do it to other people. Let's see what happened. The 10 loses it on braking, and the 18 clobbers him. And that probably is going to end the 10's day.
Get ready.
Here we come back in a restart on the outside, which is a bad thing here. Usually it means you're going to lose a bunch of spots. So we'll see how it goes.
Green flag, green flag.
And the 11 looked like maybe he spun his tires. I'm good with it. It keeps me from going backwards. I really didn't want to go any further back, but you can see now the 17 all over the place. And I can't tell what is his connectivity issues. What's connectivity where he's blinking, so like that right there, and what's actually his crappy driving. Dude should have dropped out. I feel like I can get up there and race with these guys, but I don't want to get anywhere near that 17 car. I don't know where he's going to be.
All clear,
and
all clear.
That really sucks because he's ruining the race right now for, you know, everybody around him. People don't end this, spoiler alert, when this race is over, a lot of people are upset with that dude. The green car, the 17.
That car is a lap down.
So, oh well. I mean, look at that. That's just impossible to drive around. I'm going to fall in line here behind the 7. See if we can't work him. Maybe move up a couple spots. Big news in NASCAR this week was Tony Stewart. Both the big pieces of news this week in Cup were with Tony Stewart. And there goes somebody just down at the bottom and clobbers the outside wall.
All right, man. Caution is out. Caution is out. Line up single file. Pit road is closed.
We'll talk about Tony Stewart. Nah, we got time. We got a whole pit stop. Perhaps. So, first of all, the big news comes out this week. Tony Stewart, after breaking his back, returns to the seat of that number 14 car. And here's what happened. You got the 9, the Racer for Christ. Loses it, comes back up the track. Honestly, in practice, I had made up my mind that if I got loose like that off of turn 2,
ready?
I was just going to lock it down, lock the brakes down, and take my lick on the inside wall, because 99 times out of 100, you don't save it and you come back up the track, and then not only are you wrecked, but you wrecked somebody else, and that kind of sucks. But yeah, so Tony comes back, and in an interview on like Tuesday, he was spoke very highly of NASCAR and the safety gains they've made over the last 15 years. But he was asked about the lug nuts. Guys are taking 4 lug nuts instead of 5. Pit stop times have dropped down to the 11-second mark. So he was asked about that. He felt it was a safety issue, which that's his prerogative to feel that way. And like, he wasn't a jerk about it. He didn't come out and say, oh, NASCAR's a bunch of morons and they're going to get somebody killed and this is just a joke. You know, he was really respectful, really well spoken, and was just voicing a safety concern. There we go. I'm going to be able to pass up the 17 car after he made a little bit of a mistake.
All clear.
But so I don't understand what the big deal was. Well, NASCAR decides he needed to be fined $35,000. And there goes the 5 off in the infield. And that's how you do it. You don't bring it back up onto the track and wreck everybody. The 11's going to try the apron. Again, the apron's not the fast way around this racetrack. So we seem to be making some headway here, basically because guys are making a lot of mistakes. And that was kind of the game plan. First time at this track, don't be the guy making the mistakes.
Good job, man. You're up the pit.
But yeah, Stewart didn't say anything inflammatory. He just was voicing a concern, which in any sport, a competitor or an owner, of which Stewart is both, should not be reprimanded for voicing a concern over what they see as a safety issue. Had he said something else, you know, sure. There are things that people say that should be reprimanded, that NASCAR needs to say, you know what, that's not a good look for us. And if you want to participate in the sport, you need to make sure you're projecting a good image. And let me see if I can think of a recent example. And I know everyone was waiting when they were going to hear this name. But a couple weeks ago, when Kyle Busch pretty much accused NASCAR of fixing races, that probably should have been a fine, and a hefty one. Came over the radio on national television and said, "Great job, NASCAR, fixing races." Somehow that is not as inflammatory as Stewart saying, "Yeah, I don't think that the four lug nut thing is a very safe thing to do, and I hope NASCAR polices it better."
Stay low, there's a car on
So anyway, just another
all
example
clear, all
of
clear.
the Brian France and company just screwing it up. They do not get, and if they get one thing right, they get 20 things wrong. You know, and and they're paying the price. Paying the price. Ratings are down, attendance is down, and it's because they're morons. And that's really the long and short of it. They do just the things they do not make sense. The hills they choose to die on do not make sense. But oh well. What are you gonna do? It was good to see Tony back in the car. As far as the lug nut issue is concerned, with me, I don't agree with Tony Stewart. It would be one thing if we were seeing these wheels,
Car down low.
you know, flying off the cars and up into the stands, and cars coming to the corner, losing a wheel and smashing into the wall at 1 billion miles an hour or something like that. But that's not really the case.
All right, we're halfway.
What happens if they don't get them all tight?
Good job,
The
man.
loose
You're
wheel,
up
you get a
before.
loose wheel, the
Good job,
driver
man.
gets a really bad vibration, and they just have to bring the car in. So it's kind of a self-correcting problem. Like it polices itself. If you don't do it good enough, you don't get the wheel tight enough, you're going to lose a lot of track position. So it's a big risk-reward thing.
Inside.
This too is way faster than me. He went a couple laps down, being involved in an accident, so I'm just going to let him go. There's no sense holding him up. We're not racing for position, so he can do that. There's no sense fighting with him. But yeah, as far as the lug nuts are concerned, I don't see it as an issue. I guess some guys do. And that's their prerogative to see it that way. I know Junior doesn't like it. I know Stewart doesn't, but it's what's being done. You know, and if you can gain a full second or a half a second in the pits, that's a pretty big gain. And there's the 5 again. Again down to the inside. It's the second time he's spun that I've seen. The race yesterday in the Xfinity cars was pretty boring. You know, I like Richmond under the lights. I had every intention. That's kind of our home track here. We just live a couple hours down the road, and I had every intention of buying a ticket to the whole weekend. We were going to go out and do camping and go to the Xfinity race and go to the Cup race, and then we found out that it was going to be Saturday and Sunday instead of Friday, Saturday. And it's hot during the day here, and you know, I don't like sitting out in the sun and sweating while I'm watching my races when I could be in the AC. Going to a night race at Richmond is really, really fun. And I know everybody on TV today was all rah-rah, great change NASCAR, making it a day race, but I mean, as a fan, I prefer it being at night. I really do. This is the first time we haven't gone to that event since we've lived here. So it's just because, you know, if you got to go to work Monday morning, I don't want to fight the traffic and get home super late Sunday night. So the Saturday night races work really well for me, and I want to bring my kids. And they've got school on Monday. So, oh well. We're probably going to be going in the fall, to the night race in the fall. So that'll be a fun time. The racing today, though, was okay. It was better than last year. I'll say that. They did end up with a day race last year because of a rain. Saturday night got rained out. And it was better quality racing than last year. But again, what did we see? Whoever brings the best Joe Gibbs Toyota wins the race. We've seen it 4 weeks in a row, and that song's getting a little old. The other guys can't even. The other cars can't even run with them. You know, any long green flag run, you would have Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch 1-2, and at one point, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin 1-2-3 within about 2 seconds of each other. Big wreck.
All right, man.
Not big
Caution
wreck.
Is out. Caution is out.
Sorry,
Line
it
up
looked
single
like a big
file.
wreck.
Pit road is closed.
I'm really good at
Extra 2 car.
not exaggerating things. The 17 just runs me over there. There's no need for that. if I can get slowed down for that guy, and he's further back, has more time to react, there's no reason that he can't get slowed down. Like that.
Pit road is now open.
Some of the guys in this event were really grinding my gears, to quote Peter Griffin, because they just do dumb stuff. Like that's, there's going to be a caution. There is a car sideways in the middle of the backstretch. They're going to throw the caution flag. There's no need to just smash into everybody, but I guess that's what he wanted to do. But yeah, the racing today was, I've never seen him be able to go 4 wide at Richmond, and I saw that a couple times today. Saw a lot of 3 wide, a lot of different grooves. Normally at Richmond there's one, really one groove. And so that was good. I mean, it did produce good racing back in the pack. The problem was, just again, it's the same thing as the Xfinity race yesterday. Nobody could run with Dale Jr. Nobody could touch him. And I mean, I'm a Junior fan. I like him, but it's boring watching a race when somebody just walks away with it. And that's what the Gibbs guys are doing right now. There you see the 16 drifts her around the corner, back up the track. The 2 misses it, and the 17's just like, I'll just plow through everybody. Why not? No need. There was no need for the 16 to take any damage, or for the 17 to. That was his own dumb fault. Here we go. We're going to be restarting here in 4th position on the outside next to Mr.
All right, man.
I'm
Pace cars in.
either going to blink all over the track or whatever. And the 7 doesn't get going. I don't know what happened there. He did not get a good start, and then we had to check up, and it's going to cost us. We're going to go backwards.
Inside, get 2 wide there.
Now they've decided to go 3 wide through the corner.
On the low side.
That doesn't work.
Hold your line.
And
Stay high. There's the car on the low side.
I'm just going backwards.
You got 1 inside.
And here's the 2. The 2 got all his laps
clear
back.
Low, clear low.
Good for him, man. That was a good job. Hopefully he'll get up there and give the leaders a run for their money, because he's fast. He's very fast. And this guy's driving into the corners a little deeper than I am, which is why I'm driving out of the corners and just driving away from him, because you're off the gas so much here that you feel slow. But man, if you overdrive the entrance to that corner, it's going to screw up the middle of the corner, and then you're not going to get a good exit. And that's what causes a lot of spins, is guys just exiting in the wrong lane, kind of on the wrong line, not the wrong lane. And the cars don't like it, and I overdrive the crap out of turn 1 here.
Inside.
Just as I'm talking about not overdriving the corner, but you see how badly that affects you. And at this point in the race, I still haven't figured out where that stupid light is. I'm still not. I think by the end of the race, I was just doing it by the sound of the engine. I just said screw trying to find my mark, because I'd look up and it'd be right there. But oh well. So falling back again. This was a kind of a big yo-yo race for me thus far, up into the top 5, and now falling back, looking like possibly, even if I keep going the way I'm going, I'm going to fall out of the top 10. But we shall see what happens. Yeah, the racing was good today, and the finish was good. I'm sure there's going to be a talk tomorrow morning at the Joe Gibbs facility between old Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch. I don't think Joe was too happy with Edwards moving Kyle out of the way like that, which I don't see a problem with. There goes the 13. I screwed up, overdrove the corner, and he got by me, and then he screwed up and got loose auto too, and I'm going to get him.
Clear low, clear low.
Trying to be mistake-free as much as possible. I don't have a problem. I don't see why anyone would have a problem with what Edwards did. He didn't wreck him. If he'd have put him in if he'd have drop kicked him and put him in the fence, here's a wreck on the backstretch, and it's the 2. After getting all those laps back and probably was racing up in the top 5, he gets involved in a big mess like that. So that sucks for him. Yeah, it's not like Edwards booted him through the fence or anything. He just got him a little loose and ran off with it. And if Kyle hadn't wanted it to happen, he should have driven his race car like a race car through turns 1 and 2 instead of pussyfooting it through the corner. Because there's no reason Carl should have, with the amount of distance there was between those two vehicles when the white flag fell, there's no excuse for letting Edwards get to your bumper, even allowing him to do that. So I think that one's on Kyle. He ran the last lap as if team orders were going to take, we're going to be, okay, he's my teammate, therefore he must finish behind me. And he didn't really race the last lap. Like I said, there's no reason Edwards should have been able to close that gap like that in 2 corners. But he did, and he got the win, so good for Carl.
Line up single file.
Here's what happened. The 6 and the 17 had kind of been going at it for a couple laps when I watched the replay. And I don't know what the 17 was doing. I don't know if that was on purpose. But the 6 was not happy with him after that. And it had been a lot of laps of this number 17 just cutting him off. And I don't know if he got loose coming off the corner. And here he is blinking. And so he was just a pain in the butt. He should have just gotten off the track.
The pace car is in.
Try to get a good restart, but it's impossible to because the 13 had to wait for the 17, and the 17 had disappeared. So he doesn't want the 17 to blink back in, and then all of a sudden,
all clear, all clear.
There he is, to blink back in, and then him get penalized and have to go a pass-through penalty. So, you know, it was just a bad situation. And I'm way faster here than the Racers for Christ guy. I know God's a forgiving dude and all, but you keep driving like that, bud, you're not going to be racing for Christ very long because he's going to fire you.
Got one inside.
And the 6 he's mad right now.
High. There's the car on the low side.
And he was up in the top 5. And I'm not interested in getting wrecked, so.
Inside.
Unfortunately, I'm going to lose 2 positions as I was trying to work over the number 9.
All clear, all clear.
I don't know what happened there.
Stay high.
But you can see there, I'm just kind of boxed in. You can't do anything about it. And there, I would have come down, but the 5.
All clear, all clear.
I just didn't want to get run over. I don't know these guys. I haven't raced with any of these guys before, so I don't know what you can do around them. You know, you don't trust them, essentially. You don't know who's going to run you over or who's going to give you a little bit of space and let you back into line. But, you know, we'll take it, keep working, and just wait for stuff like that to keep on happening. Hopefully that kind of stuff keeps happening and we can get a decent finish. I'd really like to make some on-track moves, though, to get up there. Myself, but if I got to do it by letting other people make mistakes, then that's how it's going to have to be. Right now I'm going to see if I can't run this number 5 car back down. And this whole pack here, we all seem to be kind of turning similar lap times. Right now I feel like I'm really better than them. Most of the other guys off of 3 and 4. You can see here I really close them down on the front stretch because I'm getting a good run off of 3 and 4, and they're better than me through and off 1 and 2. I'm going to try and get under the 6. Not going to happen. And again, outside. I could have dive bombed him there, but just don't want to be that guy. Don't want to do it. And they're working this 9. The 9 guy got ahead of everybody. And now he's kind of holding everybody up, so we're going to see if we can't work. See if we can't work him over. There we go, underneath.
Stay low, there's a car on the high side. Stay low, there's a car on the high side.
Yeah, I know there's a... Get into him a little bit, but that's okay. You're allowed to bump a little bit. No, that was totally my fault. The car just walked up the track a little bit coming off of 2. And I got into it. Not hard. Nothing to wreck either of us.
Stay low. You're clear high. Clear high.
Took me a little longer than I'd hoped to get by him, so I kind of lost the number 6 here. So I'm going to try and track him back down before the end of the event. I will give Kyle Busch credit in his post-race interview, having somebody stick a microphone in your face, having somebody stick their microphone in your face and say, "What did you think about that last lap move by your teammate?" Hint, hint. Give us something to talk about here, Kyle. He was not what you would have expected, out of him in a good way. You would have expected him to come out and been real pouty and whine, and just kind of like he was after a few races ago where he just refused to talk to anybody. Of course, he got fined for that, so now he kind of has to talk to people. But he did a good job. He kept his emotions in check, and I'll give him credit for that. I would just like to see the rest of the field catch up with the Gibbs cars. It's so old. It's just, they're so far out in front. Like I said today, you'd have the top 2 or 3 within a couple seconds of each other. And then on a long green flag run, the next guy would be 7 seconds back, or 5 seconds behind them. So it's just not fun to watch. When I turned the race on today, I kind of knew a Toyota was going to be in victory lane. You know that, and it's Talladega next week. Guess what, guys? A Toyota's probably going to win. One of those 4 Toyotas is probably going to win. Remember how strong they were at Daytona? Guess they're gonna be dominant again. Nobody's gonna be able to pass them again. So it's if I were Hendrick or Childress, or especially if I'm Penske, I'd be in NASCAR's hauler. I would be at their office in Daytona just constantly at this point, being like, they have such a huge competitive advantage. What are you going to do about it? And here we go. I've run the 6 down. It's a cool thing about iRacing. Your manufacturer doesn't matter. Your cars are all, this is pretty much the same thing. Now I'm going to try and work the 6 and hopefully get a good, my plan here is I want to get him off of 4 right here and down the front stretch, because that's where I'm faster than him. So if I can get under him off of 4, then I can maybe do something with him. And there's the classic case, what you just saw of, I wasn't paying attention to my marks, I was paying attention to him, and I followed almost right in his tracks. The car's going to go where your eyes are going to go. And I don't know if he got really loose there, but it didn't seem to affect his speed down the straightaway at all, so I'm not sure what happened. Whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to have to do it quick, because we are closing in on the end of this race. And right now sitting in 7th. Not kind of had a string of top 5s there going, and I was really hoping to continue that, but a top 10's not bad. And almost lose it. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he got loose into the corner or what, but I've said it before. if you're behind somebody, it is your responsibility not to hit them. So if I had run over him there, that would have been 100% my fault. I could have hit him, could have pulled the old Carl Edwards move and maybe moved him up the track and gotten him, but just didn't want to hit him and wreck him. Because more than likely, sure, Kyle Busch, he's a pro. He gets hit like that, he's going to wiggle and save the car. I hit this guy like that. Honest to God, it probably would have wrecked both of us. So, like I've said,
right,
your responsibility to keep it off the back bumper of the car in front of you. It's your. I don't buy this brake checking stuff. Here we go, white flag. Obviously, I'm not going to run this guy down now after that, which sucks because I felt like if I could have had a little more time, I could have gotten by him and maybe run down the guy in front of him because I think I was faster than him too, but that would have been a top 5. Just wasn't to be. This track was pretty tricky. This was a steep learning curve on this thing this week, and I'm pretty happy that I really didn't have any incidents.
There's the flag, man. It's over.
So that's a good thing. Not thrilled about the finish.
Good job, driver.
You know, top 10, so that's good, but I felt like I could have done better. I think better pit strategy. And after watching the video, I really feel like I could have been more aggressive without being a jerk. You know, this is still a game. And nobody's doing this for a living. And
all right, man, that's it. The race is
so
over.
I try not to be too aggressive because it is a game. But I think I could turn that up a notch or two. But that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week at Talladega. Until then, keep it out of the fence, guys.